Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to be making a artificial arrangement in a bouquet holder using primary colors. So I'm sticking with reds, yellows, and blues. And I kind of wanted to do this bouquet. It's more of like a challenge to me because I do think of primary colors as very um, out of the crayon box, very Crayola red, blue, yellow, and I forget that you can just use variations of the shade. So I'm starting off with kind of my red category, and I'm using these dried protea. And it's not a true red, although I will add a few red spray roses in there, but it just has kind of, it's almost like a red orange or has just an undertone of red to it. Um, so these protea I'm going to use right down the center there. It's going to set my parameters for the height and the length on it. I'm going for kind of a teardrop shape bouquet. And then I work in the sides with the spray roses there. But it's not a bright, vibrant red in comparison to my kind of golden yellow little mini lilies that I have off to my side there. So those are going to have to play kind of more towards the middle, the yellow will. But the protea is such a different shape that it will stand out amongst the other flowers. I don't really have anything too wildly shaped beyond the protea. So I kept those more towards the middle. That's where I want my focal to be, right in the center of the bouquet. And I just want the audience's eyes to stay in that area. I'm going to follow up by adding my blues. And again, you don't have to go true blue. I have these kind of colonial, almost a gray blue, um, like daisy mums that are in there. Usually I like taking off the foliage, but these are really nice artificial flowers. So I kept the foliage on to kind of help hide the floral foam underneath. And by the way, this bouquet holder originally held Oasis styrofoam, or Oasis floral foam, I should say, which is designed to absorb water and then you use it for fresh flowers. I went ahead and pried the cage open and replaced it with a little bit denser of a dry foam, which will hold artificial stems tighter than an Oasis wet foam would. So after I opened up the cage, I did cinch it closed with some chenille stems just to make sure it doesn't flop open. You can also add some hot glue just to make sure it's secure, however you want to do it. And before you start adding flowers, you can also add artificial foliage along the base of the bouquet too. You can hot glue it right to there, and that will help hide the mechanics so you don't have to use quite as many fillers to hide that foam. And another alternative is to just put some kind of Spanish moss or sheet moss over top of the foam itself to help hide the cage and the mechanics, because you want to keep your secrets to yourself, right? You want people to look at this bouquet and see nothing but the flowers. You don't want them questioning, how did she do that, or he did that, or whoever did that. You just want them so impressed with the beauty of the bouquet that they don't even think twice about how it was done. They just know it's pure magic. And moving on with my blues there, I do have these kind of Gerber daisies that I'm going to fill in kind of along towards the center with my protea because they are a bigger flower. Again, not as strong of a color as my golden lilies that I have there. But because of the shape, I'm going to keep them more towards the center. So when trying to figure out your focal flower, your focal point, where your eyes are going to go, you're looking for color, size, and shape. And that's going to kind of determine what your focal is. Because if you got something brightly colored or bright white or white of some sort, that's going to stand out. If you have an unusual shape, that's going to stand out. And if you have something larger than the other flowers, that definitely is going to stand out. So those are things you just want to look for when designing a bouquet. If you were to go to the store and select even fresh flowers or artificial flowers, you want to keep that in mind. You're going to look for your focal flower, and then you can fill in with the fillers around it. But once you've established what that main focus is, you can kind of go from there. And for my foliage, I'm using a lamb's ear. So you can separate the leaves themselves and kind of give it that nice spray out of the bouquet. Gives it a little bit of a texture to it. Um, it's it plays nice. That's the word I'm looking for. Plays nice with the protea because it's so soft versus the spikiness of the protea. And I know hindsight's 2020, but looking back at this, I probably could have added a few more dried materials to it. But this time of year, like currently it's September, you start seeing a lot of sunflower bouquets, and it does have that bright yellow. This is one option to play with colors in the bouquet. So you could have your sunflowers, which would be traditionally bigger. Those would be more of your focal, but you don't necessarily have to go that Crayola red or that true blue with it. You can just do variations of that color and it still flows really nice. When you're all done with creating your bouquet, you want to consider adding some kind of hot glue or some sort of glue to it just to ensure that nothing's going to tumble out. I was very confident that that bottom protea was in there nice and tight. However, after moving it all around, it kind of bumped out. So it's always a good practice to follow through with either hot glue for artificial flowers, or they do have a floral lock that you can get, I believe, on Amazon. That will lock in the fresh flowers, safely lock them in. Because you don't want to use hot glue on fresh flowers, that would not be good. Um, and I am tucking in a little bit of some spiral eucalyptus, again, giving it that extra texture. This would be a great bouquet to add like seeds or pods to, berries as well. That would look really cool in this too. And also once you're done and have everything locked in, you can wrap up the stem any way you want. You can add artificial uh, like rose stems to it, kind of give it that natural look on the stem, or you can just straight up wrap it with some ribbon, and then you've got a nice way to hold it, or you can leave it just as is. The size of that handle hides very nicely in two hands there. So you can see I got a bit of filling to do towards the back because you can still see that floral foam. You don't have to completely pack the arrangement, but you do want to hide that cage. So I did do some editing off air and tried to fill everything in there. But there you go, made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for watching.